Hi, welcome to Barcart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about Dead Hand Rule by Max Gladstone. Dead Hand Rule is book 3 in the Craft Wars series, originally the Craft Wars trilogy, but as is the case with many great things, we have here a trilogy in 4 books, and so this is not the concluding volume of the Craft Wars and the larger craft sequence, but the penultimate, to be concluded in the next volume. And ooh, it is so wonderful. So, if you're watching this at this point, you're probably already a craft sequence fan. If not, go back and check out our episode on book 1 of the Craft Wars series, Dead Country. I'll have that linked at the end of the video. Or go back to the very beginning of the craft sequence with 3 parts dead, as we think about the grand conclusion coming soon, hopefully next fall. I am considering a reread of the entire series. We've talked about the Craft Wars books, Dead Country and Wicked Problems, and now Dead Hand Rule. But there are 6 more books in the craft sequence that we have not reread and discussed here on Barcart Bookshelf. And if you're interested in seeing that happen on the series, you can sound off in the comments down below. As I said, Dead Hand Rule is book 3 in the Craft Wars series. It's a book that has been on my calendar for Barcart Bookshelf since its announcement. I mean, really, since before its announcement, because, you know, I loved the series from the beginning, and so, you know, even before we knew the title, we're gonna be talking about it. And then I was thinking, golly, you know, there are only so many Tuesdays in 2025. Am I going to be able to read and talk about Dead Hand Rule in that time? And my copy arrived, and I could not read anything else. I was like, this is the book that I need to have in front of my eyes. This is the book that I need to be talking about. This is the book that I need to be sharing with all of you. And so here we are, exactly as we always should have been, talking about a craft sequence book in the fall, and having a perfectly marvelous time. Though, you know, the same cannot be said for the many characters in the book. So, where we have left off, we have the collapse of the markets. For those who are unfamiliar, and if you're unfamiliar, you should 100% familiarize yourself, because as I say many times, the craft sequence is everywhere for those with eyes to see, and it's especially in Delaware. So we have the collapse of the markets. We have this intersection of the craft, this sort of legal framework with the spiritual economy and the threat of upspiders, of Skazarai, these alien beings from across the cosmos who are approaching the world of the craft in order to devour it, this sort of emergent system that has threatened all of reality. And so the great powers of the world have convened in the city of Alt-Coulomb, this sort of, you know, New York analog, this grand, very modern city, all skyscrapers and demon glass, and the Temple of Kos ever burning. And so we have this return to some of the very first settings of the series, the hidden schools and the city of Alt-Coulomb, and all of our great powers come together to maybe make an answer to this sort of world-ending threat. And, of course, when you get a bunch of people with a bunch of national and private interests all together, things are maybe a little more complicated than we would like, and the ability to marshal alliances is under threat, even in the face of, you know, great crisis and imminent crisis. As we've seen, many times before, again, the craft sequence is everywhere for those with eyes to see. You cannot find a more timely or relevant fantasy series. You simply cannot. They are the moment. They are the times in which we live. There are deathless kings all around us, and their necromantic power is complicated, and its markets, and its money, and its law, and its power, and its bones, and it's so, so good. And so we have this wonderful thriller, and this weaving together of threads and complications. I had the experience of listening to an episode of Behind the Bastards on Peter Thiel's relationship with the Antichrist at the same time as I was reading this, which was certainly a choice that I made, and maybe not one for optimism and the glories of everything's gonna be okay, but in the world of the craft we're fighting, and in the real world we are fighting for everything to be okay. It's just, you cannot start the series with Dead Hand Rule, nor should you, but you gotta read the craft sequence. I feel if we take one lesson away from Bar Cart Bookshelf, you gotta read the craft sequence. And so we had to have a drink. Our drink today is the Toxicity. It is a drink ordered by Kai Pohala, investment banker priestess, and it has with it the threat of just how you'll feel after a 2 Toxicity lunch. We love a 3 martini lunch here. It's a grand old time, a long and storied tradition. A 2 Toxicity lunch is gonna have you ready to, smash your giant hammer against a primordial, evil, hungry spider thing. And, we could all use a little of that energy. So we're going to begin with 1.5 ounces, of hurricane-proof rum. This is an overproof rum. It's going to be extra strong, extra intense, because a 2 Toxicity lunch has got to knock you off your socks. So nice, strong, high-proof rum in there. And then we will add 1 ounce of pineapple juice. Kai is this investment banker priestess from Kavikhana, this sort of analog to the Cayman Islands by way of Polynesia, and these many gods here, this funky investment banking and safeguarding banking system here. So we gotta have a little bit of our tropical flavors if this is a drink that she's carrying the recipe for and telling bartenders how to make. Pineapple juice, also great because of the enzymes. It eats you back a little bit as you eat it. Really appropriate for the give and take of the craft and the threat of these scazarai. So we'll get 1.5 ounces of our overproof rum, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, and then half of ginger syrup. Nice fiery bite. We are in the city of Kosever burning, after all. So we'll get our ginger syrup in there. And then for more of our tropical flavors, we will get 1/2 ounce of passion fruit syrup. I love passion fruit. It's magical. It makes everything you put it in taste tropical. And so just a real treat that way. It's also this rich orange color. Our Toxicity in the book is described as neon orange. And so we're going to have a nice, lovely orange drink and conclude this with 1/2 ounce of orange curacao for just that rich depth of orange flavor, of citrus, bringing it all together. Lovely. As you can see, we have it in our blender. Love a nice tropical fruity drink. It's cold out. It's in a crisis. It's nice to have the tropical ones just to make us feel a little more at ease. We'll get our ice down into our blender. Lovely. Scooped up. A little bit more. And then give it a whirl, girl. Fantastic. All right, we'll get a nice hurricane glass here because we've got our hurricane rum. Pour that right on in. Fantastic. Whoop. There we go. Nice slushy freezy. Give that just a little sip because... Oh, so good. With the threat of the Skazarai, these iron-limbed spiders from the stars, we want to get just a whisper of that, and we'll take half an ounce of blackstrap rum. It's nice, rich, molassesy, sort of chocolatey rum, and we'll just crown that at the top of our Toxicity. Get our blender out of the way so we can demonstrate this technique. And take your half ounce and you'll just pour it over the top of your spoon, like so, and let that begin to seep into the rest of your drink. Nice, rich, dark, delicious Toxicity. And so there you have it. This is the Toxicity inspired by Dead Hand Rule. Dead Hand Rule is available now. I've got a link to snag it in the description down below, as well as links to various forms of social media, including Blue Sky and Instagram, a link to purchase my book, Cocktails and Consoles, 75 Cocktails and Mocktails to Level Up Your Game Night. And yeah, we will have the grand finale of the craft sequence coming soon, so there has never been a better time to read and reread. I am so excited. I had just such a wonderful time with Dead Hand Rule. I think you all will as well. And until next time, cheers.